Although,
Are we on? Da da, sweet subversives, making a song, making a song. I don't know why. Just sing. Look, and my face is covered up. I'm in there though. Like I go, but. So are we on? It looks like it says live. Hi guys. I'm gonna stop sharing that and put us right in the middle.
there you
There we
go.
go. Welcome.
Fantastic. Welcome. And I'm still watching for it to make sure that it
Okay.
is showing up live
Good.
because,
We've done this before, and we talked for a while, and they're like, "There's no show."
and it
It's
is.
good. Yay! Well, welcome. It's Sweet Subversive Wednesday, and I'm Heather Biederman, and that's Kara, Kara Schultz, the fabulous, and we're just being sweet and subversive today. Cheers, Kara. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, it's that kind of day. Yeah, yesterday was a hard day. It was actually a good day, but it was a
Yeah,
very
it was
political.
yes, it was a good day. But my stomach's also been really touchy again lately. So
I'm limiting myself to one beer tonight because I had a little tickle in my throat, and I'm just not gonna like let myself get sick
you
because
mean you got the coronavirus?
I do. So if you all want it, come over and we'll French kiss for a little bit, and I'll give it to you. No,
Oh my God. There's like, I will be, what was it?
typhoid Mary.
Typhoid Mary.
I can do it. I
She will
will.
give you Typhoid Mary kisses.
And everyone's like, you know what? I thought like feeling like I was getting an elephant stomping on my chest was really bad, but it was worth it to French kiss Heather. And I go, oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. Mhm.
Like and subscribe.
I'm sure that will get everyone to like and subscribe.
Hey, if you're like a $100 Patreon a month, I will like give you a cold. No, I won't.
I will give you a cold. You really know how to entice everyone.
I know. I know. I'm not good at this, but it's okay. I try. So what's new, Kara?
Well, yeah, like I said, no cocktail this evening. But I'm hopeful that next week I will have a cocktail to show. So North Carolina, I'm going to be doing their convention coming up first weekend in April. And their chair, Susan, asked me to create a cocktail for their convention.
Oh,
And I love doing that. So
is it a super secret one so far? I mean, are you
so
gonna?
far, so I've been testing out a couple different things. I want it to have ingredients that are special to North Carolina. Uh, but it needs to be able to be made, like by a bartender that's there. So I can't get, too finicky with it, right?
Well, and you can't put like weird things in it that they're not
Exactly.
gonna have.
Yeah. It needs to be clear because Susan got the like real edible gold leaf to float in the
Oh,
cocktails.
how fun! I
So
love
yeah,
it. They're gonna have a good time in North Carolina. It's always nice, so
yes,
it'll be a good group and a lot of fun to hang out.
absolutely. And the other thing about North Carolina, and this will be for Minnesota as well, I often bring an item, if a state convention has a auction or a silent auction or something like that, I usually try to bring something, as an item for that. And so what I'm bringing to North Carolina and to Minnesota are these, well, not these exact earrings because I wouldn't do used ones,
Oh,
but they're the little porcupines.
oh, those are so cute. I
So I'm making these
love.
earrings because, we can't find decent porcupine jewelry at all. So I'm like, screw it, I will make it. So yeah, so
I
I'm making a
see.
bunch of different like
I didn't
earrings, that
even
kind of stuff.
know.
So
I didn't even know what those were, but I'm like, your earrings are so
yeah,
cute
yeah. I'll get a
today.
little closer so you can kind
Yeah.
of see.
Ooh. Oh,
Uh-huh.
those are gonna be a huge
Even
hit.
has like the little stars on them, and yeah, I think so.
Cute.
I think they're pretty cute. So we'll see. So yeah, so that's what's new with me.
Well, let's see what's new with Heather. I went to an author, it was discussion reading today at South Central College, and it makes me want to write books. He is so enticing to go, you just got to find that passion in yourself. And it might not just be writing, it could be whatever, doing shows, doing podcasts. Everyone
Yeah,
I know wants to do a show after we're telling them how much we love it. And it's just like, oh, you just get excited about stuff when you get around
yeah,
people like that. I just
absolutely. Absolutely. And oh, so Genesis says hello. And Lauren says that the earrings are very cute. So
they are
yay.
cute.
So we do have news.
We do. Oh
We
my
have
God.
we
What?
have news, we have rumors, we have Libertarians caught being good. We're gonna talk about trashy, shitty shows. So yeah,
Yes,
we got a lot going on
we
for
do. So
today.
we could talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. So in news, in Minnesota, we had our caucus last night. So we still caucus in Minnesota, although now this year they added a primary as well. So I'm sure that will end up killing off the
Yeah.
caucus tradition. But we did caucus in Minnesota, and so that was pretty cool. And the Libertarian Party had caucuses in 8 congressional districts.
That's
Uh,
cool.
and so when Republicans and Democrats were posting pictures of their precinct caucuses, and some of them, like there was no one there. There was not like a single person in the room. And so we actually had pretty good attendance. We had over 100 people. So it was a pretty good attendance that we had. But we also did um, ranked choice voting at our caucuses
Cool.
for presidential candidates, for vice presidential candidates, uh, LNC chair and vice chair. And so we do have the
Wow.
results of that.
Oh yeah. I
They
wanted.
take a while to tabulate for president, and it took 7 rounds of ranked choice voting to get this result. So it
Seven.
was
That was
Jake, yeah. I know
very
Jacob Hornberger was first. Second was Joe Jorgensen. For vice president, Jeff Woods, and I think that was on the second round, if I remember correctly. So he got that for vice president. For LNC chair, it was Joe Bishop Henchman.
Oh yeah. I think I heard.
And yeah, and for vice chair, it was Ken Molman.
Oh wow. Very cool.
Yeah, so that I mean that was the results of that. And when we've had other results coming out from other states, um, from the intervening week when we were last chatting.
Yes.
So Tennessee, they had theirs, and they did a poll of Tennessee delegates and alternates. So that was kind of interesting because most other states are just doing members, like members or whoever shows up the caucus or that kind of stuff. And Tennessee did their delegates and alternates. So NOTA or uncommitted
Why is it so much?
is 16.
16?
Yeah, so 16. For Jacob Hornberger, there were 11 delegates or alternates. John Mons, 4. And that's a candidate that I don't think up until this point has gotten probably the attention that he deserves.
Yeah.
Vermin Supreme received 3. Adam Kokesh received 2. And then in the chair race for Tennessee amongst their delegates and alternates, it was Joe Bishop Henchman with 8. 8 were also either NOTA or uncommitted.
Oh, wow.
4 for Joshua Smith, 3 for Dewlap Nelson,
Nelson.
which
Hey, isn't that a lizard?
it's a lizard. Yes, it's a
I know.
lizard.
I actually am.
Which,
I'm on. I think I like that page, the
yeah.
Dulap page. So I could see voting for Dulap.
Well, and I love that.
I gotta find a picture now.
I know. Well, and I love that every time something about Dewlap comes up, then Sam Goldstein pipes in and he's like, "We have an attorney for chair. Why not a lizard? What would be the difference?"
Why not? Right?
you
Oh,
know,
here. There's actually a Dulap
joke never
Nelson
gets
for
old.
LNC chair. I'm gonna.
Yes,
I'm gonna just share this
pop
page
it up.
real quick because we gotta see. It's super funny. Okay, share screen here and Dulap for LNC chair. He don't give a feck. Isn't he handsome though? I mean,
He is. I mean, I'm a little nervous by the leg
I know it's a little
A little
lewd,
suggestive, a little suggestive.
but why not throw a little sex into a
Well,
campaign? You know, I mean, just
well,
a taste.
sex does sell.
It does sell. I don't know with lizards, but they I've heard people say they thought all the presidential for Ellen's not LNC for the Democrats and Republicans were actually lizard people, but I don't know if that's true. So maybe we could have our own lizard person and compete.
Well, and I don't know if Dewlap is eligible to run
Really
because he
young?
has not signed the NAP
Yep.
because he does like to bite chonkies. So,
Yeah, he I think a lot of the animals that we'd like to have in the Libertarian Party are not willing to sign the NAP NAP because
no.
honestly, the non-aggression principle doesn't
The,
apply to them.
right. They're kind of into the aggression. They have an aggression principle.
Super into it.
Right. Oh, and then okay, and so I got diverted by the lizard.
Yeah.
And then Mike Shipley had one delegate. In Montana, Chafee and Hornberger were tied with 8 each.
Oh,
Mons 5, Armstrong 3, Berman 2, Ritchie 1. And I think
oh.
that's the first vote Ritchie got, if I remember correctly.
Well, I was
Mark,
gonna ask you, like, if the number one for that state is NODA, do they go to the next one on the list? I mean, in Tennessee, it was NODA for.
right. Although it's NODA uncommitted, so it's not a true NODA.
So this doesn't.
They combined them.
This is just to let them know who they're supporting.
Yeah, because our bylaws say that you can have primaries, you can have caucuses and all that kind of stuff, but you cannot bind delegates to that. So
Oh,
delegates get to vote however they wish to vote in Austin. But this does kind of give people an idea of where the race is headed, that kind of stuff. And it's fun and it adds interest, truthfully. I mean, that's really what it is. So
that's what we do.
yeah, yeah. In Arkansas, Hornberger, 21. Chafee, Mons, and Robb, 2 each. Dunham, Berman, Whitney, and Noda, 1 each.
Cool.
And then we have the Florida straw poll,
Yeah.
which is
Wow.
Hornberger with 29. Mons had 22. Berman Supreme, 21. Kokesh got 10. Berman, 9. Jorgensen, 5. Vorha, 3. Whitney, 3. Chafee, 2. And Noda, 6.
6. Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
neat seeing it all come together.
I think so, yeah. Oh, and we have a note here that says that Ray says donated a print of Dewlap to LP Artists Silent Auction for the LPMN convention. And that is held in Minnesota on the 28th, which we will be at because we're doing the hospitality suite. And so she posted a link for getting your tickets. So, and
Awesome.
I might have to bid on that
And
print.
well, I might be too.
I'm just
So we
saying,
might have a bidding
I'm,
war.
yeah, especially if I can take it to National and get his little paw print.
Oh, how cool would that be? Oh,
Right?
yeah.
I want that so
One of
bad.
us has to walk away with that because that's happening.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely. So now we get on to the rumors. We're going to kind of stick with Florida news. So,
Oh.
Heather, if you can recap kind of what happened with the Whitney campaign
Well,
prior to Florida and then once we jumped into Florida.
so okay, on the Whitney campaign, there it was a lot of okay, Mark was calling candidates swear names. So in LP Florida, they were live streaming the debate, and I just throw in my 2 cents. So I think of that almost like being on the news,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
a general audience will be watching it, and they say swearing is not allowed, but he kept doing it, and he started.
Well, he substituted words.
Oh, yeah, what was it
So
like?
he almost did it like, God, what was that movie where they would say Fargan ice holes and
Oh God.
God, I'm trying to remember that. That was a really, God, that was an old movie.
Oh man, I know what you mean though.
And it was it
With
was when movies like Airplane and that kind of stuff were coming out. It was
and
like
they
those silly
switched
comedies.
words
So
around.
he did that. So he abided by the rules, but and it actually was kind of comical, but
He is actually really funny, and I think the problem is a lot of people take it very seriously, and they do, and a lot of
Yeah.
in a lot of ways you should. But I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it actually is more memorable to me to have something like be funny like that. But so people were so angry, so
Yeah.
very angry, because they thought it was disrespectful. And
Yeah.
but we do have free speech. And actually,
Right.
when we were okay, I don't know how far I want to go with this, but um
I
I
know we're trying to like not add to like all
well,
the anger and bullshit
I'm
that
not trying to
is
say one
surrounding
person's
this.
right or wrong either, because I can see with his whole
Absolutely.
persona, he's going for funny, and he's very passionate. So I get where he's coming from. Although
Johnny Dangerously.
Johnny
Marilla Boy
Davis,
remembered it.
oh my,
Thank you. Thank you.
Laura, you are awesome. Hi, Laura. Um, okay, he's kind of going on the funny side of things, but then I was reading about let me see, in articles about like the Democratic Party especially.
Hmm.
They have they're trying to curse their way into voters attention,
Yeah.
because a lot of places say that they're not supposed to swear, they're not supposed to
Right.
swear on live television, but they're doing it, and because they do it they get more attention.
Yeah.
Now, it's usually a technique by people who are losing. Now, a lot of times, if you're in the lead, you don't need to resort to tactics of any sort. But
Right.
swearing is usually unprofessional. You can't really quote it very well. It can be hilarious, and so there's this balance where people think it's more real when you swear. I'm like,
Right.
here's me,
Right.
like, fuck yeah, it's real,
I
or
know. I know it's through like,
real.
"Ah!" Although we do have the disclaimer that we
We
are
do.
adult content.
But like when you hear me say something, you go, yeah, it's real, or F yeah, it's real. You
Yeah.
listen a little bit more, maybe when somebody's swearing.
So
So
like an attention getting device.
it's definitely an attention getting device, and it worked, because not only were people pissed, he had like death threats. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know how serious these death threats were, because like people, hey, you should die. But
Right.
a lot of things got taken down before I could even see it.
Yeah.
But
And Lauren says, I think more people felt the rug was pulled out from under them because he came out as a very serious candidate. Then he did the Jekyll and Hyde thing, and people feel taken advantage of.
yeah,
Um, when you're getting into issues of free speech, especially when you're in political speech, you know, that I mean, that's where people want to push boundaries as far as they can, and I think they should be able to. At the same time, I also believe in freedom of association,
yeah,
um, and
and
that a private group gets to set its own rules for its event. They get to, I mean, absolutely. And so it's difficult when you have, competing ethics like this. Yes, you should have freedom of speech. Yes, you should also have freedom of association and being able to set the rules for your group. So I mean, it seemed like it was just a messy collision of competing values, like values that we hold really dear. Um, and how do you balance those values? And it's difficult when it's playing out in public, like that. And then, people are taking sides and they're, getting upset and all that kind of stuff. And I think it was hard. And I think a lot of people got caught in the crossfire as well. So,
well, because they thought he was a serious candidate, and then he is swearing, and you don't know, is he serious? Is he joking? Is he making fun of everyone? And that
yeah,
was things I read, and I always kind of take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt, because like things change so fast in politics.
right,
One day he might be like that, and the next day he'll be no swearing, straight shooter, and he's not going to do it again. And you don't know, or he'll go worse.
right.
You never know. But I was kind of waiting for those old fashioned hooks that come out and pull people off stage. Like, and you're just like, is this going to happen? Is somebody going to stop this? What? But they didn't.
No, they didn't. I mean, they had the debate go on and they had, everyone got to have their say. So, I think it was really, I think that was good, I mean, and that is what we want. Like we want people to be able to have their say. We also want to be able to find out, our prospective candidates' opinions and all that kind of stuff. And I do think he is a serious candidate.
I do
I
too.
got to talk with him, in California, and I mean, he was a, like a wonderful person. I mean, he very kind, very nice, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and I thought at the end, I thought I saw a picture of all the candidates like hugging it out or something. Like, like I don't know if it was real or if it was something where they're all like standing together, like, yeah, that was really good. But it seemed sort of friendly. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and it's difficult when you're campaigning as a candidate, just and this is every candidate. This is every candidate.
Yeah.
Just understand that your IQ is going to drop by about 40 points
Really?
because you're under constant, unbelievable stress, and it's fight or flight type stress. And you can't fight
No.
and you can't flight. So
Stay
you're
there.
like super self-contained, and it just, so you got like this stress ball that's just ricocheting around in your brain. And when you are under stress, your brain just doesn't have very good decision making. It doesn't, the more often that you're under stress and you have to do decision making, you can learn to do a better job on that. So I mean, it doesn't matter what candidate it is, and candidates are under a lot of scrutiny as well. We watch every single thing that they do, and if you aren't rooting for that candidate in the first place, and again, this is for any candidate, I'm not talking about a specific candidate, um, people are going to watch for something to really go after, and so they're always looking for, some type of faux pas, or, if you misspoke, or, all that kind of stuff. That's what they're looking for. And then you feel defensive, and your campaign team feels defensive, and it just gets into this like tight spiral. Um, and I mean, you just watch a lot of candidates and campaigns struggle with this, and you watch about almost every candidate, almost every campaign struggle with this. And this is normal, but it's also a time when we get to see how our candidates behave, how they do react under stressful situations, and is that what we're looking for or not looking for? And depending on the person, I mean, we're looking for different things.
Oh, I
So,
know.
you know,
Everybody has good qualities and everybody's got bad qualities. And maybe you have certain ones that, appeal to you more, both good and bad.
absolutely, absolutely. And oh yeah, we have a lot of people commenting. We have a lot of people
Oh,
commenting on
God,
this.
yeah. Stress and
And people are saying, listen, I've got a delegate spot in Austin, and I'm watching this, and Amber's saying, yeah, stress and scrutiny. Absolutely. And Chase is saying the purpose of a primary is to see how a candidate acts under pressure. That's why we vet. Oh, Lauren says Kara for president. Oh my God, please no, don't curse me that way. That's really evil, Lauren.
oh,
Don't don't say that. But I
eh.
do want to talk about something kind of serious that's related to this,
Okay.
and that is so the allegation of death threats.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that came out. And for a brief time, Whitney had suspended his campaign, and had related that it was due in part to the death threats that some of his staffers received. Um, and I'm not going to go back and forth on whether that's true or not.
Okay.
Um, Personally, I think it's true.
Do you?
I Absolutely. I
Okay.
know the person that
Oh,
says they received a death threat,
okay.
that it was done by phone on voicemail. They have turned that over to the authorities.
Good.
And what the person did was they handled everything exactly correct. They sent an email, they had decided, okay, this is not something I want to be involved in. This is past what I want to deal with. And I think that if you haven't been involved in a campaign before, you don't realize that you probably are going to receive death threats. Like that's part of it. That's a sick, sad part of our culture, and that's just the deal.
It's horrible.
It is horrible, but they were really taken aback. And so they sent an email into the campaign and copied a couple other campaign staffers and just said, I am resigning, just to let you know, this is the reason why I'm resigning. Um, and they did so very professionally. And they didn't splash it about, they didn't make a big deal out of it. But right when it became public that death threats that there was an allegation of death threats, what I didn't like that I saw online and what I would really hope we could change within within the Libertarian Party
Yeah.
was people who didn't like the candidate attacked the person who received the death threats. And this person, like, we need to treat each other as individuals.
Yeah, we're people. We're all people. We may
Just
disagree
because you
on
don't
things.
like that candidate doesn't mean you go after someone and re-victimize someone because they are a victim to receive a death threat. And it was a concern. And they felt that there was some credibility to it and they had some concern. They were doing everything right. And they did not ask to be hounded on social media. They did not ask to have their ethics questioned, their integrity questioned, or anything like that. And what I would hope would be that if we would hear, because we're all about the non-aggression principle and we don't think that force and fraud should be used, what I would hope is that we would all say, I don't agree with sending someone death threats just because you disagree with them, and
Yeah.
that is something that you stand firmly against. And sending those death threats, like, that is a form of bullying.
It is.
And if you want to combat bullying, you don't you don't need to focus so much on the bully, and you
No.
definitely don't need to focus on the victim and heap more crap on them. What you need is to alter the behavior of the bystanders
Yeah.
and turn them into people who say, this is not our value and we will not put up with it and we stand firmly against it. And that was what I wish I had seen,
Yeah.
and I didn't. And I'm hopeful that it can be a learning moment for all of us,
From
and
here,
that we would alter our behavior in the future.
I agree completely.
So that's my soapbox.
No matter how much you hate someone, death threats. No, never death threats. Honestly, how would you feel if someone threatened death upon you? I mean, nobody likes that, right? It
Yes,
seems like obvious,
absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
I've had people in any, and this isn't just libertarian. This is all across the board. Every political leaning I've ever heard of have had people, and so there's always a fringe to every
Yes.
group. And it's
Yes.
someone in the fringe who is like, I hate what they said and I hate them, and I would punch them in the face if I saw them. I go,
Right.
really? Would you?
I
And
know.
and some of them you're not sure, but
I know some of them you're like, I think they might.
right. And I just think that should never be a thing. We're all grown ups. We can talk. We can disagree. It's okay to disagree,
Yes,
but
it
let's
is.
play nice together.
It is. And again, we have a lot of comments on this because, this was something that really struck people, and Michelle says, yeah, I got the email from that person. And yes, they reported everything. The person was very professional about leaving. Amber says it makes her so sad that this is happening. And Chase says, yeah, it was really crappy to do. I don't like the candidate. And I sent a message saying, I hope everyone is okay. And I hope that law enforcement was contacted on this matter. Absolutely. That's how you handle it. And Lauren says, I love a large portion of his campaign staff like family. The staff are not the candidate. They are their own people and they're not responsible for the words of somebody else. And that, like, yes, thank you. You guys are my people. That
Yeah.
is exactly it. That's exactly it. So yes, you guys are, I have love for you.
Yeah, but nobody's like, we should really just punch people in the face. You're like, no, come
No.
on. I'm gonna give you a pamphlet about the nap, and then you can go and do that.
Right. Yes,
Read that, and then we'll talk.
exactly. But so that leads me to libertarians caught being good.
Yay! I love
Oh,
this
I'm
one.
pretty happy about this. Okay, so a couple of these are in my home state, in your home state,
Yeah, yeah.
Minnesota.
So
So, um, yes, yesterday we had our caucuses, and as
quack,
part of that, our caucus.
cockeye. Oh, the cockeye. Don't look right into the cockeye.
That's right.
Uh,
And as part of that, we are doing these postcards that we're sending out. And we brought the postcards, and there's a postcard addressed to each person that is on the Senate um, committee that is holding our dang uh, bill for ballot access in Minnesota hostage, right? So they
yeah.
laid it over, and we want them to vote and advance it out of their committee, and instead, they're trying to kill it in committee. And so we had these packs of 10, so that each person got a pack of 10 of these postcards, and you sign it, and then you put your name and address on the outside of it. And we had several people at each of the uh, congressional district caucuses that not only help spear this up and get it going, but they paid for the postage. Like, they brought stamps because they're like, we're doing this, fill it out right here. We're putting the stamps on, I'm taking them and I'm mailing them. So we had Anita Hansen doing that. We had Eric Cullen doing that in my district. I and Pat Barnum and her son Leon did that. So, I mean, we were collecting them, and I mailed them out. We were all mailing them out this morning. We're trying to hit a goal of each one of those 10 committee members getting about 200 of these.
Good.
So, that's what we're doing. So and it was just like a spontaneous thing, because we were bringing them, and then people were like, yeah, I'm doing the stamps. We're all in this together. Let's do it. So yeah, so that was fantastic. Um, Also, so Jill Galvin, who is in Minnesota, she wants to give a shout out to a libertarian she caught being good. And she says, Cara, can you add John Prevost to your caught being good list? He ran the CD8 caucus for Minnesota with just under 24 hours notice, because the person who was supposed to do it ended up in the hospital.
Oh, no.
So he totally stepped up to the plate and ran it, which running this one was not easy, because again, we were doing that ranked choice voting, which we've never done before. This was not an easy one to run. So thank you very much, Joe. You definitely are a libertarian caught being good.
Yay, Joe.
Love you. Tracy Dupre wants to give a shout out to Angela McCardle in LA County,
Yay.
um, who is also their county chair.
Oh,
And she
yeah.
said that, this week she had seen her being really supportive of a friend in need. What she found out was she reached out to their community of friends in the Libertarian Party to give encouragement to a friend who got some really overwhelming media attention. And she's a very caring person, and she just stepped in to make sure that that person felt loved and supported. And
That's a big heart. I love
I want
that.
more of that. I love that. That makes me really, really happy. So yay. Oh, and Chase says, when you do a good deed in Minnesota, you win a complimentary hot dish. That should be a thing.
I
That
think
should
so
be a thing.
too. Like
Or
you,
maybe a Jello salad.
oh gosh, I don't even know if they know what Jello salad is.
You guys know what Jello salad is?
Have you
It,
had
it can, and here's the funny thing. So a Jello salad,
it? Can be so many things.
yes, it's kind
And
of like the hot
groceries
dish
sometimes.
of Jello. So it can have fruit. Usually it has fruit in it,
Yes.
and then like some type of whipped cream mixture on
Either mixed
top.
in it or on top of it.
Yes, and it can be totally mixed in, or it can have vegetables in it.
I'm like Scandinavian, so I know all about this. The most popular one at our house is orange jello with carrots in it, like little slices, tiny little
Yes.
slices of carrots. Sometimes there's pineapple.
Oh, Chase says, yeah, we don't do Jello salad in Georgia.
No, this is such a Midwestern thing. We also make something called aspic. in which my
Yes.
husband laughs every time I say it, like if you're picking your ass. It's like tomato jello, and
Yes.
it's I don't know hardly anybody has had it, and I keep telling
I
my mom
love it though.
if
I
she
love
put
it.
it is really good, but
Yeah.
I tell her she should put some vodka in it and just tell people it's Bloody Mary shots, and people would probably eat it right up. But yeah, so
I love aspic.
yellow salad, it's another thing.
I love layered tomato aspic with basil layers in
Oh my
between.
god, it's like what do you call
Oh,
it?
that's good.
Like very
Like,
Italian and
yeah, and like the
like
French,
margarita
yeah,
pizza or something.
yeah. Oh, and we have
Oh
one
yeah,
more
yeah.
libertarian caught being good.
And
So Sarah Daggers, who is an activist extraordinaire,
yay.
she says that several of them, they did a rally, which is leading to Sarah speaking on the 8th with a
Oh,
state rep and a law professor, and then another person who was at that rally being interviewed on the news. So they all, stepped up and actually showed up, right? That's part of it, is showing up. And these are the things that are branching out from it, from them showing up and doing that rally. So that's pretty fantastic.
I love
So
that.
yay for all of our libertarians caught being good. I love to hear about libertarians caught being good. I know this has been kind of like a crap show of a week.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's
but we
well,
still had a lot of libertarians caught being good. And if
that's because
you,
there's a lot of them who are
yes,
really good people, and they do good
absolutely.
things all the time.
And, and they should be getting the time and attention and love. So we want to make sure that they get the time and
We're gonna
attention and love.
tell people about it because you know what? You may hear enough about the bad news, but come here and you get the good news.
Exactly. And this is a topic that is near and dear to Sarah's heart,
Oh yeah?
which is sex workers.
Oh yeah. That's right. You got to see
So
something cool this week.
I did. I and you would have liked it because it involved beer. I couldn't drink the beer because, celiacs. But so
Call me if
um,
you ever need someone to
they
drink beer for you.
they have these history events at a brewery, but they also serve food as well. It has a restaurant in it, and the building itself is a restored building, and it is the oldest commercial building in St. Paul, Minnesota. And it was originally built to be a German lager house. So
Oh,
it would have been like beer and food there, right? And
right.
they would have had discussions. Like lager houses were not the same as pubs.
Yeah.
Lager houses were meeting houses,
Kind of
and
political centers.
political, but family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cultural center. More like a cultural center, I would put
Yeah.
it that way, right? But because they're
Yeah.
Germans, it was beer too.
Yeah, you have to have beer.
Yeah. And so they have not only revived doing the beer and the food and all that kind of stuff, and restoring the building to what it looked like during that time. They're
Awesome.
also now having these historical lecturers come in. So this historical lecturer came in, and the show, it was a topic on red lights and shadows, and it was the real story of Nina Clifford. And Nina Clifford is an extremely famous madam. Like she was the top madam in St. Paul, infamous, right?
Cool.
There's books about her and all kinds of stuff. Um, and it was really neat because the more things change, the more they stay the same. She came to St. Paul in 1886, and she immediately started a brothel. And then she started a second brothel. But her brothels were like top notch. Like the one that she built, it was all brick, it had fireplaces in it, had marble, and just it was gorgeous. And she contracted a famous architect to do it. It was incredible. And at the time it cost $13,000 to build. A comparable building normally would have cost about $1,500 to build. So that's how much this was. And so she built it where guys could come into the new Minnesota club, which was the big gentlemen's club. And I don't mean it was a strip club. I mean, it was a club that the
So they
wealthy
could
men went to.
smoke and talk to and have
Yeah,
some sex if they want.
cigars and shit like that. They could go out the back door of that club and go into her brothel.
Can I show you what she
You're
looks like?
smart.
I found her picture if you want to see that.
Well, you can show the picture, but it's not actually her. The
Isn't it?
picture,
Okay.
the picture attributed as her is not her.
Oh no. Okay, so I'm gonna show you that
And
that's not her.
yeah, and her family, yeah. And so her family will not allow her picture to be released
They died.
until 100 years of her death, which I believe is coming up in a couple more years. So at that point,
Oh,
then the pictures of her will be released. I'm not sure why they have that stipulation, but they do. But the really interesting thing about her was how ahead of the times she was.
yeah. Really?
And
True.
um, so she had a rule. So she would seek out women who were abused or in an abusive situation or just in a bad situation. And she kind of saw it as her mission to rescue them out of that situation. And you may think, rescuing and going into a brothel, like that doesn't sound like rescuing. That sounds like preying on them. But what she did was they could only work for her for 3 years.
Okay.
She kept a portion of the money out during that 3 years and she matched it. She
Oh,
also got them the best health care available, and that was free. And it was a level of health care that only the wealthiest of citizens had. She had a box seats at the theater and the opera, and they were able to, use that. And
wow.
I'm not talking about using it with clients, but she thought that that was part of their education, and they should get enjoyment and happiness in life.
Be
They had a
knowledgeable.
box at the church too. I mean, they went to church on Sunday, but
That's
she
awesome.
matched their money those 3 years so that they could go to college to become secretaries, because that was like a main profession for women that they could then earn money,
Yeah.
um, or that they could do a new identity and they could get
Start
married.
over. Get
Yeah,
married.
start a new life, like start a new life.
Well, to work
And that
on
was really important to her.
an
And she
image.
also paid for all of her nieces and nephews and her relations to go to college. You know,
That's
education was,
amazing.
yeah, education was like a huge thing for her. She also made sure that she hired persons of color um, to work as staff, you know, which was kind of a crazy thing at the time. She also made sure she always had at least one person of color that was a sex worker. And it doesn't seem like that would be kind of ahead of its time, but it was because it was in the same building.
Yes, because there's segregation and people didn't do that back then.
Yes. And again, this was like the highest brow place,
Yeah.
right?
So
And,
the fact
and
that they're doing that too, I mean, so
yeah,
so weirdly ahead of its time, actually,
it
considering
was.
the culture.
Yeah, it was. So when you talk about sex workers' rights and, bringing things into the light and better treatment and, um, you know, everything around that conversation, again, this shows that this conversation is something that just we just keep having this same conversation, right? We tend to think, oh, we've advanced so far, but she was obviously having this kind of conversation and having these kind of thoughts back then. Like
Well,
she
the
was
sex
pioneering in this,
sex
right?
isn't bad. That's the thing that
Right.
people get hung up on. We have a very puritanical society. Sex work is work,
Yes.
and people need to be treated with respect. And even if you don't respect that profession, the fact that they're valued, they are shown that after you're done here, we want to make sure you're set up.
Exactly.
That's an
Which,
amazing
yeah,
thing.
which is why in, our 2018 uh, convention, national convention, which you were at and you were a delegate,
I was.
they added the sex work plank, which is 2.10, and it's the Libertarian Party supports the decriminalization of prostitution. We assert the right of consenting adults to provide sexual services to clients for compensation and the right of clients to purchase sexual services from consenting sex workers. And so I was sitting there hearing this conversation and this
You're
historical
like,
presentation, and I was thinking how that related back to our plank that we have.
that's so amazing. And
It is kind of amazing.
isn't it funny when you're out in the real world and all of a sudden you're like, that's libertarian.
Yes, yes. And yeah, Chase Oliver said literally the best thing to come out of the 2018 convention was that plank. And I know that that plank is still controversial, and we are the only party to have that plank. The Greens looked at adopting it, and instead they went another direction, and it just didn't happen. And it is controversial, but you know what? The Libertarian Party is often at the forefront of rights, and things that are controversial when we take them on and adopt them quickly become mainstream. And that's part of what we do. Like that's part of our gift that we have. So
We're trailblazers,
we are
We,
trailblazers. We
we,
are trailblazers. We are. And that's something I think we can feel good about and be proud of.
I think
So
so
yeah. And Chase says, yeah, I will be making sure it stays where it is at in Austin.
too.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
I like that.
So what, I don't want to like drastically shift gears, but
Yeah.
that was my fun little thing that I did this week that was kind of a neat libertarian thing.
I
So
love
did you want
that.
to talk about any of like your shows that you've been
I
watching?
went to see Kiss and Diamond David Lee Roth at at the Excel Center in St. Paul. I also got to do something in St. Paul, and but it was not as historical, and there was no obvious prostitution that we can talk about or anything, but there were amazing old people doing amazing things. So I had never seen either of these acts live before. I always wanted to see Van Halen,
Yeah.
and he was pretty. He's kicking high, you know. I mean, I was just like, wow. My husband works with a guy who's a super Van Halen fan, and he says in the
Ooh.
Las Vegas shows they have huge holograms of
What?
him, and I'm just like, they did not have that there. But he was, that guy's got swagger. I think his voice isn't as good as it used to be. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But that dude, he just like he's all teeth. He's just like a smiling
Yes.
machine. So it's amazing. And I had never seen Kiss before. And
Ah,
Kiss, they're like, okay, like the lead singer is 68. And Paul is 68, and Gene Simmons, the guy with the tongue, he's 70.
I know.
So they were rocking as hard as I've ever seen. If you get a chance to go see Kiss, go see them. It's an amazing light show. Even if you're like, I don't really care about the music, they have pyro, like pyro,
Uh,
pyro, pyro, explosions. Like,
pyro pyro.
I'm like, oh my God. I was sitting next to, I think, a guy on the spectrum, and he was just like, he was losing his voice because he's just screaming like nonstop. He was so excited. And I was just like, I know this is so good. And I was terrified too because there's one part where they have this like kind of hook thing, and they flew
Yeah.
Paul across the crowd, and they put him down on a stage, and I'm like, that guy's 68, he could die. Put him down gently. Because and Andy said that he had hip replacement surgeries and stuff, and he's still rocking out like the whole time. And Gene Simmons with his giant tongue, he was just like, I've never seen anything like that. That's like a special effect on its own. Oh my God, it was crazy pants. So I don't know where I can go with
Well, we,
non-aggression principle or anything with that. How do I tie that to libertarianism? Um, do what you will.
well, there's definitely some Kiss fans who are watching our show, Chase and Amber.
Oh yeah, I gotta
Amber
look at the
says Beth
comments.
is my favorite Kiss song.
It's so good. It's so good live. I just wish, two of the original band members weren't there. So
Yeah.
but it's so good, dude. If you get a chance to go see them, I know it's their farewell tour, but the farewell tour is gonna last another 2 years, so you'll probably get a chance to see them if you want. Um, but it's amazing. I hope I'm like as kicking ass like that when I am like almost 70. I want to be like
No kidding.
like ah! that people like still want to come see me. That's awesome. I love that. Detroit Rock City. freaked me out. It was so good. I was just like, I knew I'd like Kiss, but I was like, it's so much better live.
Awesome.
Anyway, so I just
Well,
had to
I
share
do want to
that.
remind so our viewers,
Yep.
because at the end we always do the one awesome thing, and we want to hear
So
about
think
one
about it.
awesome thing that happened to you that is awesome in your life, because we want to all like share in the awesomeness. So
Yeah.
start to put in the comments what your awesome thing is that happened to you this week.
Oh,
We'll get to ours in just a minute. So my kind of trashy thing that I've been really into is I've been watching Love is Blind on
that show is
Netflix.
hilarious.
And it is trash. Oh,
It's
it's
super
trash.
trash.
There's, they try to do, oh, it's an experiment. No, this is trash. Like they're trying to dress it up so you don't feel as guilty about watching it. I know it's trash and I don't feel one bit guilty watching it. Like
No.
I am fucking here for it. I mean,
True.
I am so into it. It's not even funny. So for those of you who haven't seen Love is Blind, the premise is they have all these guys in one apartment, all these girls in another apartment, and they can only interact with each other in these pods. So they walk into like a little room, there's a wall, and they can't see through it. It's like a glass wall, but it's all swirly. They can't see through it. They can talk to the other person, but they can't see them. And so the premise is if you get to know someone and you fall in love with who they are, and you don't know, and you're not judging off of how they look, how does that go? Is that going to create a tighter bond? Is that a better way to find a mate? And if they want, they can, um, like by the end of 5 days or week or whatever it was, they can propose. And I guess 8 couples did. Like
Did
eight
it?
couples proposed and agreed to get
Oh my
married.
God.
Then afterwards, they went to Mexico and almost had like a pre-honeymoon,
Yeah.
and they could see each other and get to know each other and that kind of stuff. And then for the next 3 weeks, they would be living in an apartment together, getting to know each other. And then tomorrow night, we're going to find out if they get married.
Oh my
Now, some of them
God.
have already imploded. Um,
Well,
so
sometimes you actually meet people and you go, oh no, that's not going to work. Or you don't have any chemistry at all.
yeah, so I mean, and it is crazy pants. It is crazy pants. I mean, and there's like weird ass shit happening. Like this Jessica, who
Is a
um,
drinking lady?
is the drinking lady,
Yeah, I like
and
her.
we call her Messica because she's a
Jessica.
freaking hot mess.
She is.
And
I've seen the
so she's
pool.
like chatting, and she puts her wine glass down and lets her freaking dog drink wine. And then she drinks out of the glass again. And I'm like, first of all, she lets the dog drink out. And I'm like, "Wah!" And then
What?
she drinks out of it. I'm like, oh. So, and I mean,
Oh, Jessica, no.
and, and she just kind of seems to be awful. So
I have a
we'll
question for
see.
you because I saw somebody post and they say that most of the people on the show are trying to be influencers, on social media and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, you think it's real to them? I mean, like, or they just like, it'll get me good publicity to get married and then talk about it later?
You know, um, I think people might have come into it with one idea, but I think I think they actually really started getting into each other.
Did they? But
I do.
like if you're not used to like getting to know people, like really getting to know them, maybe it would affect you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean it does seem real. I think Jessica is toying with Mark. I think that's happening because she's a mess.
She might just be somebody who should never be in a relationship though, because
Well, and
she's
she
not.
kind of says that. She's like, I got commitment issues. No kidding, honey. Yeah, you do.
But,
Um,
but
but
we're okay. I'm an
yeah,
older person, and my dating in college was not internet based. There was no Tinder. There
right.
was none of that. You had to just go up and talk to people and get to know them.
Yeah.
Um, is that so different than this idea? Like you get to
I
know.
don't know. And I think it's pretty common now that people get like meet each other online, which, 20 years ago was just like off the hook insane. So I don't know, maybe something like this would become more normal or, whatever. But my idea is, um, what if this is how we would pick our presidential candidates?
You'd be like, hey, baby, I
Like
just,
we can't see them. We just go in these pods and talk with them and, hear about their ideas and, that kind of stuff.
going to pot, cool, whatevs. And then you're like,
And then we're like, you're my, you know what, you're my candidate. And that's how we could pick our candidate. Or what if this is how Americans pick their political party? Like you couldn't
yeah,
know what political party it was,
there'd be no name on
but
it.
yeah, we would go into these pods and we would be like, these are my ethics and this is what's important to me. And the party representative would be like, oh yeah, this is our deal. And, and then if you had like a love connection, then they would reveal what party it was. And you'd be like, oh, I guess I am a
I'm
libertarian.
a libertarian. Or the other way, like candidates. You go
Because I
like,
think we would have a ton more
because there's
people
some
supporting the
candidates who
Libertarian
are in
Party.
parties I don't think they belong in. And then
Right.
you'd be like, okay, what do you believe? And this and this and this. Well, guess what? You're a libertarian. What?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I mean, so then people at least match up a little bit better. I don't know. I hate surprises though. I think that would be the thing. I'd be like, I'm imagining Keanu Reeves, and then you get Steve Buscemi. Like, this is not going my way.
That's often how it would be.
It'd actually pretty much be like, oh, please be Steve Buscemi. Please be Steve Buscemi. Don't be a garden troll. Don't be
Yes.
like that.
But
No.
oh my God, I got to tell you, tomorrow I'm all about.
Is that what's going to be? It's
Yeah.
on Thursdays, right?
So what Netflix has done is they dropped a bunch of episodes a week apart, and it's been like a
Oh,
bunch of episodes, and then last week a bunch of episodes, and then this is the finale, and I think it's like a 2-hour finale or something like that, and it's just on the weddings, like did they get married or not? So,
oh my God. Are you rooting for anybody specific?
I have a couple of them that I'm wondering if they do get married or not, but I mean, some of them, I see them struggling and it looks like they're going to get married. And I'm just like, oh, that's not a
Not
good
so
idea.
good.
That's not a good idea. Oh,
Well, I mean, some people should never get married. I mean, I've met some people, like they're on their eighth spouse, and I'm like, you should just date people.
right.
Like you're not very good at the actually being married, but you're really good at finding more people who like you. So maybe just
Yes.
do that, and it'd be less complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I think it's time for us to say our one awesome thing. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first or what do you
Well, I had okay, I once again I can't pick. So I'm gonna okay. Today I had a really good, awesome thing. I teach classes on library instruction every semester, and today I was in this class, and sometimes you get classes where people are like zombie face, but this class at the whole front row was all these girls, and they were like and looking up at me, and I'm going. And then one girl, I go, well, have
Were
you
they
ever been?
hot?
No, they're not hot. Nobody's hot in college. They're all beautiful, but whatever. Is that a question in
It
there?
just totally threw you off.
Oh man. Okay. So what state? I just keep seeing the wrong things. Okay. Yes, they're hot, but not in a way that I would notice. Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, the one I asked the class like, have you been in the library? What's in the library? And then the one girl, she's like, this and this and this and this, and I'm like, very good. Now you're a librarian. Come up to the front of the class and teach the rest of the session. She's like, ah, and I go, no, that's cool. And she goes, I love this stuff. I'm a book nerd. And I'm like, please be all book nerds. I want book nerds everywhere. And it makes me so happy that people still read books and that they're in
Yes.
a college class and that they admit in front of all their colleagues, their friends, yes, I like reading. I'm into it, and she had really great questions, and I was just like, that made my day. That's like the whole kind of thing that you can you can have some bad times where people are
Yes.
sleeping in
Oh,
classes, or even being rude and talking to somebody, and you're like, hey, I'm talking here.
you're
But
like,
I know. But like when they actually are into it,
yeah,
or like every once in a while you get one that's like, oh, I'm totally gonna go do this right after this. I'm so excited. And you're just like, no way. You're excited? Cool. But like that made my day. It really
that
did.
is awesome.
It makes it you want to keep doing it. It's just when people are so into it. So that
No,
was
that
my
is awesome.
yay.
I think
So
that
I'm
is
like,
pretty awesome.
they paid
Yes,
attention. They did not fall asleep, and they liked it.
all
So
good. That's all
yes.
good. Oh, Amber says that she's for sure going to be watching Love is Blind tomorrow and
Oh
that
yeah.
she's on team Lauren and Cameron. And I have to agree. They're probably about the only couple that I think should actually get married
Do you
is
think
that.
if any of them get married, they'll last more than a year?
I don't
Maybe
know.
Lauren and
I
what
don't
is
know.
it? Lauren and Michael,
Cameron,
Peter,
Lauren and Cameron.
Cameron. Okay.
Yeah. So my awesome thing
Yeah.
is we got a bill introduced. This is different from the LP bill. This is like a personal thing.
Yeah.
Last year, Minnesota passed some pretty awful legislation restricting pain medications for people.
Yes, it did.
And it's had a really horrific impact in my state. Um, People who really need pain management just aren't getting it. And we have had suicides. Um, we have people entering hospice early for end of life care just so that they can get pain management. It's just it's been horrific, but we didn't give up, and uh, we do have a representative in Minnesota, and he is now introduced House File 3746, which will correct a lot of this, provide a lot of, oh my God, Rory, a lot of protections for patients so that they can actually access pain medication. The other nice thing that it does is it protects doctors because the doctors are scared shitless because they're getting nasty grams from the state saying they have to
Oh,
further reduce. I mean, we already reduced in 2 years 50% the amount of pain medication that they are prescribing. Now they want them to reduce another 30%. Um, and so they're concerned that the DEA will investigate them because they will, and that they'll do civil asset forfeiture. And oh my God, that cat, that is hilarious. So that bill was introduced, and that is my like super, super awesome thing. And so we have that bill that's introduced. See, Rory's celebrating, he knows.
he knows it's
And
I'm
we're
happy.
getting sponsors for it, and we're getting sponsors on the Senate side as well.
Yep.
Um, and so I'm hopeful to get more people sponsoring it, but we need politicians that have a spine and a heart, and that's not an easy thing to find. So I'm hoping that we can get support for that. So I do want to read some other people's
Yeah, I've seen, I
their
saw that.
their awesome thing. Are you able to see their comments or
It's kind of coming in slow on mine, but
okay.
I'm getting it right back. I refreshed it just so it should be all good now. Oh my
Okay.
God. Rory's just giving me eyeball like I'm gonna sit on your keyboard. I've been okay, Kay Cameroon. Hello, Kay. I've been doing some fun and creative fundraising again.
She
Cool.
has. She has been kicking ass on that. And the fundraising that she's been doing is for our convention, and it's going to be a spectacular convention. She's definitely going to be helping. Like Amber's, her good news. I've been reaching out to potential candidates to run for governor to help us maintain ballot access. She has a candidate who is willing. He seems super great, and her heart is super happy that someone has agreed to carry the torch, and that is in Utah. And that is a big, awesome, wonderful, fantastic thing that is going on in her life. So I am happy that she shared that, happy that Kay shared hers. Just scrolling to make sure I don't
I don't know why
see
mine
anything
don't all
else.
show up.
Anyone
I
else?
only have like four at a time, and then it says 58 comments, so I don't know where they are.
So Facebook now is stacking them, and you have to click that like other comments thing.
Oops.
You see?
Sorry. I clicked on the actual sound. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Okay,
now.
good. It was
It's
like it was
it's
sort of
Verizon all the way.
I'm like, don't do two videos at the same time. That's too loud. Um, yeah, I don't know why I see Sarah Dagger saying hi. I don't know. I just like it won't let me open it.
That's kind of weird. Well, one thing I wanted to show, and I want to go out
Yeah.
of our show tonight with something that was really spectacular. And Chase pointed this out, and a few other people pointed this to me.
Before you do that, though, we have
Yes.
to talk about
Oh,
our Patreon account.
yes. So you do that, and I'll get the video ready.
Get the video ready. Okay, so as you know, Kara and I are really excited to do this, and we want to do this every week. But we have two things we wanted to share. If you love our show, let's see if I can find the page. Yes, I have it. Okay. We have a Patreon account, and I'm going to put a link in our on our site on our Facebook page. Let me share screen, and I will do that, and I will go somehow to show you the Sweet Subversives Patreon account. You can just go to Patreon too if you can't find our link. But we have membership levels, and you got our new logo, which I love. Yay! And $5 a month. For only $5 a month. It's like those charities where you're giving for just a cup of coffee at Starbucks. You could once a month get a shout out to a libertarian being good, and you can do this in person. You can do it online. We'll post it for you. We can figure it out. You choose if you want the shout out to come from you or remain anonymous. And you can do this one-time donation, or you can keep it as a regular reoccurring one. We love you, and we will be super grateful. And we'll have like a list of people, if they want to be called out, we can have that every week. $10 a month, each show will give you a shout out because you are making it possible. And for $20 a month, access to our super secret community. We're going to have a secret page that only you can get into if you're in the $20 a month club. And there's one more, and then you find out ahead who caught being good, and the beer feature. So eventually some of this stuff's going to get more and more secret. So, only the secret club might be able to get into it. And then there's a fourth level, $50 a month. That's everything in all those other tiers. Plus, you can join us live on one of our podcasts. You can be our special guest, and we will talk to you, and we'll have a blast. We always have fun, but we'll have a fun time with you. So please join us on our Patreon page, patreon.com/sweet subversives. So I'll post a link on our Facebook group so you'll be able to find it. The other thing I wanted to mention is on Amazon, we have a wish list. And this is just stuff that we'd really like to make our show a little more professional for you. And I think I added, this is not all of our stuff because I like, I have like my evening. Yeah, no, I think like we don't need that. There's one though. Let's see if I do the right list. Oh, it's a podcasting wish list.
Yes.
There we go. Because I
That would
had
be
the
my
right thing
personal,
up.
that would be a personal list.
Yeah, I was like,
But
you
if you want to buy me those items, I'm totally game for
I'm
that.
totally through like green screen lighting, portable, which we'd like to have for going to yeah,
Oh
at
my
least it was underwear or a dildo or something. That would have been really awkward. I'm like, yes, the sperminator is what I want for the show. What kind of show are you doing? No. No, but I mean, it's like tools that would actually make it so when we're on the road, we can actually come and maybe do conference stuff and go interview people. And I think it'd be really cool. So these things aren't like the necessities of life. Obviously, we won't die if we don't get them. But how cool would it be if you could help us like get to be a little bit better? So we're gonna post a link to that on our group page too. So
And plus, I would definitely be using it for the candidate training that I
yeah,
do.
no doubt.
Help with that a little bit.
It would
Yes.
totally help with that. So I think it would be really cool. And so think about it. If you love us, help us. Help us help you have more fun. So I'm going to stop sharing that. Okay. Now we can go on.
Okay. So I, people pointed this to me, and I agree. This was like a totally magic moment at the Florida convention. And it was during their presidential candidates debate. Uh, and this really is something I think we need this week. We need this week. And my hope is that we see more of this. I really like what happened, and that someone took their time that they could have used for a closing statement or something like that. And what they did was they wanted to take some of the heat out of the room and get it back onto, that we're all in this together, and that, we're all connected to one another. So I'm going to play just this little clip so that you can see this moment.
Love it. Here it is.
And these are some of the things that I have to bring to the table. And with my remaining time, I'd like us all to take just a moment of silence and meditate on how much we love one another. Thank you. Was there any more cards?
Is that not awesome?
He's so cool. He
I
does have
think that's awesome. And I mean that, and that's what we would like to leave you guys with, is we should do more of that, realizing that, we're all on the same team, we're all in this together, and that we all have a lot of love for one another. So see you next week.
Yes. I'm just gonna put it on this one weird thing I wanted to have us go out on. Your music saved me. Do you remember seeing the kitties, Kara?
I do.
Well, guys, see you next week. We love you and keep being sweet. Bye, guys. We can end the meeting. Da-da.